Oh, okay. Welcome to 1978 podcast. I'm here with the Hamil brothers, Jacob and Ross, or Ross and Jacob, depending on who your favorite is. And these guys are, let me click on this. These guys are, let me get it right here. I'm not technically savvy. There we go. These guys are probably a really good example of putting your nose to the grindstone. And what I mean by that is not a lot of people put in the time and effort to get it right on whatever it is they do. But I've definitely seen you guys, from my point of view, really try to learn your craft as far as what you're doing to make a living and to do it creatively and to be good at it. I've seen a lot of people, and it may just be the city that I live in, but people will say, I'm this or I'm that, and they don't have an education in it, and they're not technically trying to be good at what they do, but they certainly make it obvious to social media and to their friends that they are a producer, director, cameraman, whatever it is. Yeah. And when it comes down to it, it turns out a lot of the time they don't know some basic stuff, like, it's the kind of thing you might learn on your first day, so to speak.
Right.
So I think it's really cool that you guys that I've seen you guys put in that effort, and I've seen you guys try to do a good job, really, is what it boils down to.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody that wants to kind of understand what you do, can you guys talk about your commercial film directors, short films? You're in the Midwest in what is it? It's Odessa,
Lubbock, Texas.
Lubbock.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
Odessa, man.
Oh, sorry.
I don't want people thinking that.
I don't know the region, so if there's like the Crips and the Bloods, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to get you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you guys do and kind of the general day to day.
So, the general day to day is a lot of sharing memes and a lot of wasting time on Facebook. But
I have to say, very good ones, by the way. You guys do get cream of the crop and post those. I can't even keep up with them all. I'm like, boy, they got all the memes here. I don't have time.
That's
people are stuck at home right now, so may as well entertain them as much as possible.
They're just knowing how stuck at home we've been since before. But so pretty much what we do is I think of us as a turnkey solution. We're just kind of a one-stop shop in West Texas for commercial and promotional films, videos, whatever you want to call them, depending on how far your nose is turned out. But and then when the opportunity presents itself, we love doing short films. Yeah. We haven't done very many, but I feel like when we get to do them, we have a lot of fun, and hopefully, the 12 people that watch them really enjoy them too.
Yeah.
11 of those views being our mom.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, that's I was going to say, my viewership here, all 6 of them are going to enjoy this and take all of your advice to heart.
Yeah. Well, as long as we control David Weldon a little bit.
Oh, good luck. Good luck, Weldon. There's no controlling you.
Yeah, so pretty much that's what we do, and we are pre-production to delivery every step of the way. Most of the time, we're not afforded budgets to be able to hire like somebody awesome from art department, or somebody awesome that does sound, or somebody awesome that's a producer. Like,
we can't even afford the people that aren't awesome.
Yeah, we can't even afford the cheap people. But every once in a while, we'll get a budget where we're like, hey, we know we can afford to have this sound guy and this Steadicam op and these kind of things. But we came from the Weekend Warrior DSLR era of you just got to do as much as you can by yourself, because there's really not we don't really have like much of a film or production community here.
Yeah.
The market is pretty cutthroat. Everybody's fighting for like the same 8 clients. Just for the viewership, we're in Lubbock. It's about 240,000 people. So it's not tiny, but it's not LA.
Right.
So,
What's your sort of target client, I guess? Is it the small business or?
Actually, we try not to work a whole lot with the small businesses around here. Like, and let me quantify small businesses. I can't remember if it's Fortune 500 or Forbes or whatever quantifies a small business as 500 employees or less. But around here, small businesses are more just your mom and pop.
It's like us two are a small business.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of those organizations around here just don't have the budget because it seems like a lot of them are so invested in getting product or they're placing a lot of their investing in other areas besides marketing, and then the TV station comes in and suckers them into a contract where they get free production. So really, like, our target client is somebody with a moderate sized budget, and like when I say moderate, if we can get anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for an ad, we're doing really well.
Yeah,
here,
which is mind blowing.
Is your competition like the local news stations, or
I wouldn't really call them competition. They're just kind of like, if you think of it in the wedding world, they are I've got a friend who will do this for free, or I've got a cousin who's got a camera. That's kind of how the TV station plays into the commercial.
So do you guys find yourselves having to educate your clients on what is actually possible? Is that
we absolutely do, and that's a really good way of phrasing that. Like, for instance, Saturday we're jumping into a project with our county tax assessor, which
interesting.
Nobody that doesn't inspire a lot of fun thoughts in people, but
out of curiosity, what are you making a video for them as far as marketing?
Yes, we are. They've got a program that's I can't remember exactly what.
It's just like a wait from home queuing.
It's a wait from home queuing system, so that you can, instead of going and waiting at the registration office for 4 hours to get your car registered, you get all the paperwork and you can sign up for it at home. They tell you when to be there. As long as you show up on time, you cut to the front of the line and they call you right up.
Yeah.
So ultimately, they're just trying to make a smoother system, and they're using marketing to get to these people.
Right. Yes. Right, because they've had it for a while and nobody knows that it's there. I didn't even know it was there till they asked us to market it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but with that, they were like, so we don't want this to be boring. So what can y'all do? And we were like,
you're asking for it.
So.
What do you short of giving it away? When you say tax board, or you just say, I guess, the word tax, and then you say that you're making a video to promote a product that this organization is a city, or is it a private tax?
It's
county.
Yeah, Lubbock County.
Are you thinking that you're going to try to make something that has a comedic twist? Because you guys tend to have the funny kind of sort of angle on things.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Basically, the kind of the punchline, for lack of a better term, is everybody thinks that the county is stuck in the dark ages. And so we're using the dark ages to kind of show how caught up they are on.
Yeah, so we have like medieval characters that are going to be incorporated throughout.
That's fun. That's good.
So it's,
I can already see that's a fun angle to you'll grab the people that know. If it's it's local, I'm assuming. So you'll when you say Dark Ages and they see the logo for the tax board or whatever, they're going to say, yeah, duh, and they're going to watch because they're like, yeah, you are. But then when it comes down to the end of the spot, they'll say, oh, that's interesting. I'll try that. Hopefully, right?
And it's one of those things. You have to use a county tax assessor's office regardless of who you are or what you are, because that's how you register a vehicle. So they're not doing a sale. They're not selling a product. They're just trying to make their system smoother.
Right.
And
they understand that people generally hate having to be there.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to help smooth that out for people by not requiring them to be there that long.
Yeah.
Have you guys done any, I know that you have gone above and beyond to try to learn more about the business that you work in, but have you worked in big markets such as Los Angeles, where you're able to see, like, if you had a job where you had to go somewhere, and then you can see the difference between how getting work in Lubbock and getting work in a giant market that does this is like? Have you seen the differences yourselves as far as actually trying to get the gig?
Not really. We've done some work like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but most of that was brought to us.
Because happenstance, word of mouth, producers plugging us in, or just, I mean, it really, like, this business is so word of mouth, and you know it too.
Sure.
I mean,
I'm 100% word of mouth.
Right. Well, it's more like, hey, we need an art director, Alex, my friend Alex. Oh my gosh, he's like the best of the best that can do this and this. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's bring him on. Like,
well, most of the traveling work we have, other than we did do a little bit of work for Pennzoil and AutoNation, and their influencers were based here in Lubbock when we started with them. Yeah. But outside of that, most of those contacts go back to that workshop where we met you in Dallas for the first time.
Yeah.
So actually, what I was getting at is the comparison. So my back in the day, I lived in the Bay Area, and I was just scratching around trying to find some place to work that was doing basically the most I could learn from. And there was a video production company that was the only one that actually had an office space and then a warehouse, like a small warehouse space where they had a cyc with a cove and green screen or painted whatever color you want and a lot of gear. And I wanted to work there really bad because that was going to be the most I could get out of work knowledge wise. Nowhere's going to pay you enough money to, go crazy, but at least there I could get my hands on a lot more and there was more going on. And they had more creative stuff going on. They would build, we would build like the front little nook section of a pirate ship so that the CEO of some company could be like a pirate pointing in a direction. And like that was their gimmick or whatever. And, no one else was doing that because A, they didn't have the space, or B, they just didn't do creative stuff. Right. It was all just talking heads.
It was like white cyc everything.
Right. Or even just a flat, like behind them or a roll down or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like that's really, we fight against both sides of that because there are a lot of the creative agencies here think that they have good ideas and some of them are almost there, but like, especially with the comedy stuff, it's just like
their execution is always just like, for instance, there's this, there's an ad going around right now here it's this tire shop. Yeah, it's a tire shop. And these guys, if you call them,
when you say ad, are you talking about like a video on TV or where?
This is like a television 30-second broadcast ad, and they basically you call them and they'll run out there and like the whole ad is based around like the Dukes of Hazzard jumping across the front of the hood thing, and like it's like, okay, this is entertaining, and then like one of the guys always jumps in through the window. That's his thing, and at the very end of the ad, his buddy rolls up the window on him. He doesn't know it, so he hits it flat. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty funny. And then a camera cuts to the guy in the driver's seat, and he's like, gets him every time. And I was like,
it's super cheesy.
They deflated
their own joke.
Yeah. Oh, like they should just not put that in there or something.
If you didn't put that line, it would be hilarious. Like I was laughing until they said that, and I was like, you just lost me. Yeah. Like if you really have to point out your own joke, you didn't pull it off well. Unless you're like Leslie Nielsen, who can pull off anything.
Yeah. But they don't understand comedy either. Like with comedy, your punchline, if you miss it by an inch, you miss it by a mile.
Yeah.
And so like he said, we grew up watching Mel Brooks, Leslie Nielsen, Get Smart, all that stuff where it was very subtle comedy, but you didn't have to be, if people weren't getting your jokes, then, you were just doing something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't understand. I think there's something about comedy that we just inherently understand because we'll throw a joke out there, and if we don't get a laugh, then we leave it alone.
Yeah, that's
you don't keep hammering on it and try to force the laugh.
Well, comedy is a living, breathing organism. Like we have another brother between us. There's actually three of us, but he's
is that the mystery Hamil brother that no one knows about?
Actually, most people.
I think
know about him
you've used him in your work.
Yeah, we've used him a couple of times. But the other day, he said something to me, and it like blew my mind. He was like, "All comedy is an inside joke." And when you think about it, like if I make a reference, like we were at this shoot once, and there was this lady named Delilah there, right? And so she walks off, and I'm like, Ross, hey there. Like, hey there, Delilah. And Ross never heard the song. So that joke was completely blown.
Wait. Ross, the
I had heard the song.
guitarist?
I'm familiar with the song, but
he didn't put two and two together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was just now it's a joke between us all the time.
Just hey there.
But
hey there.
Yeah, it became its own inside joke. But all comedy, like, comedy is only good if you somehow relate to it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think most creative everything is. But
well, that's why most comedians stay topical, because they're staying safe.
Yes.
They're like, look, I'm going to joke about what's on the headline news. That way nobody misses it, and I don't stand up here with my pants down like an idiot, you know.
Yeah, basically.
Although that might get its own laughs.
True,
Well,
it
actually,
could.
we shared one the
It
other
very
day.
much.
What was it? It's a guy, he's naked, and he's holding a guitar. It's a cartoon. And he says, my next song I'm going to play is about facing your fears.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
going to play it on the ukulele.
Yeah, you posted that. I was going to say,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm saying to myself, where did I just see that? And you posted
Yeah,
it.
it's one of us probably. We actually
But
went to-
here's the benefit of that. And this is my opinion on comedy, or one of that particular joke or meme.
yeah,
It required audience participation.
exactly.
So you had to sit there and say, if he puts that guitar down and picks up the ukulele, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
ukulele that's funny; it's the revealing part of what that will
Yeah.
cause. So
Right.
you had to say to you had to play it out, and when you do, it's like, I don't know what a real good sort of longtime comedian will have a better explanation, but that audience participation causes like a little bit more of an investment or something by the audience, and it's sort of like, I don't know if it guarantees a laugh, but it does a good job of getting a laugh because it's stronger.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
and
it gets them intellectually invested,
it involves them actually. And
Yeah.
you know, that's one of the things we have, that one of those ads that our brother was in, and we did this like series of like 9 or 10 ads for this local car dealership. And basically the character that we made is a guy named Merkel Dergler, which like his name just to me is funny in and of itself. And that's part of the comedy, but like he just cuts corners on buying cars. Instead of going to this dealership where you can go and get a good sale and everything's going to be right, like he gets abducted by a car salesman. His car breaks down on a blind date with a super hot girl. That same car salesman comes back and sells him a car that he just boosted from somebody, and then the cops show up. Like, all these things happen to him.
His car explodes.
Yeah, his car does explode. That was the first ad.
Hey, this is all to save like $100 on the car or something.
Well, I mean, it's just...
Or he's just bad luck with automobiles.
Yeah, he's kind of Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
anything that can go wrong will go wrong, but it's just hammering on those. You know, and it is something within car sales. You know, well, if you don't buy from us, these are the bad things that could happen.
Yeah.
But we just made the bad things happen instead of the dealership actually saying it.
Yeah, so just like almost like people warning for sale by owner when it comes to real estate. You know, like there's a lot of things that can go wrong there.
Sure.
And same thing
Private party is always more dangerous than
right.
than a
So-
dealership. You can go back and knock on the door and say, "Hey, asshole,
This is
I want my money back."
Yeah, basically. So one of the ads, though, speaking of the, like getting your audience involved, is Ross is writing it, and it's this ad where this car salesman literally this guy's looking at a car, and the car salesman sits up in the front seat, and scares the living crap out of him, and he's like, looking for a deal, you know, and like he's just sitting there waiting for somebody to come by,
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, you know, I got to get some new wheels. And he's like, well, come check out the trunk on this beauty. It's got more space than NASA. And like, you think about it, when I read that line, I hated that line. I was like, that's the dumbest thing ever. And he's like, well, that's the point. It's a car salesman making up crap that doesn't even make sense. NASA doesn't have space.
NASA doesn't own any space.
Yeah.
But they're
But
kind
it's
of like, if it's like, I think that's like a 5-second joke. If you sit there for a second, you're like, oh, I get it.
But it hits. Yeah. So that's one of those things that, one of the things that I think comedy kind of falters in, and I see this more modernly than, you know, back even in like the 90s, but we didn't treat our audiences like they were stupid.
That's good.
And I think a lot of comedy now is, well, you're so dumb, I have to explain the whole thing to you, and you lose the joke, because people, I think for the most part, inherently are smarter than we give them credit for. And then sometimes they are that dumb and we just laugh.
And the overuse of shock comedy.
Yeah, shock comedy,
yeah.
shock humor. Just like, I'm sorry, but any Judd Apatow, like he was funny when I was 13 and like I was a little perverted 13-year-old kid, you know, because we were all laughing at those kind of jokes.
Sure.
27-year-old kids are now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you wonder
but-
the like 58-year-old dude writing a script and it's just like someone just says penis and it's like, I bet you
Yeah.
could do better. Not
Right,
like he's
Well,
funny, but I get what you guys are saying. You know,
But it's you know, it's Mel Brooks. We were talking about this today. We love Spaceballs. Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies of all time. And so Mel Brooks is, he's the president of Spaceballs, right? And he tells Rick Moranis, he's like, I want you to comb the desert. And it cuts to them, and they literally are dragging combs across the desert.
Yeah.
And they're standing there, and Rick Moranis is, Colonel Sanders says, you think we're taking him too literally? And he turns with the microphone and says, no, we're not taking him too literally. And like nearly blows his brain out. And then he puts the megaphone down and yells, have you found anything?
Yeah.
So he's got it there in his hand. He never uses it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like all the jokes that happen in there. But
I think
just
that
like-
I think that there's, you know, the lowbrow comedy has its place,
right.
and if you're over it. But then again, if you're Mel Brooks and you make Mel Brooks movies, he's one of those guys that if you in his heyday, if you know he's got a movie coming out, you can bet 99% what it's going to be. So he has his audience, and it's like, you know, there's the Mel Brooks fan, and you either watch that stuff or you don't. And I think it goes for anybody. I was a big, what was like for some reason, the Keenan Ivory Wayans type stuff comes to mind.
Oh,
like,
yeah. So like Scary Movie.
Yeah,
Movie
like
2, 3. Yeah.
I think that some of those kind of had like you knew what you were going to get kind of vibe. But going back to you guys, is anybody in your area that does what you do take the approach that you guys take, or are they all kind of straightforward commercials and stuff that you see that are in your sort of your competition, or so to speak?
There are some of them that try, but I don't know if we just, you know, if we got the magic comedy angel that bestowed us with a gift, but I've not seen anything funny come out of this area that wasn't something we did, and I hope that doesn't sound conceited. It's just I'm very hard on our ads,
right.
And if it's making me laugh, I'm pretty sure it's going to make other people laugh. But the rest of it, it's very much, hey, my name is so and so, and I want you to come down to our barn here and buy. You know,
We got real fake doors.
Yeah,
we got real fake doors. Real fake doors go everywhere. There's real fake doors for
but
your
at least
house.
that's funny. And so there's one company that they try to do some more emotional stuff, and I feel like it's, I don't know if it's just super forced or what it is about it, but like I watched the ad and I'm going, we could take the exact same concept and we wouldn't have to change the script one bit, and I think we could still execute it better.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to say in execution. I've seen a couple of like semi-creative ads come out of here that I know are produced locally.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, I don't want to disparage anybody else that's trying to do this in this market, because it's a tough market to be in.
Very hard market.
But there's like, everybody's got their thing that they're good at.
That's why I said that. That's why I was wondering about you guys doing what you do, because you seem to be taking, I guess, a couple things as a sort of a unique approach to what you do, and then you're being artistic about it in the sense of you don't want to just walk into that same mold. You're trying to
right. Well, something we were at actually the week, a few days after we met you back in 2014, we came back to Lubbock, spent the night, and then flew out to Seattle because After Effects was having their world conference, and Andrew Kramer from Video Copilot was one of the keynotes. And you're expecting a new product reveal or something really cool like that, but his keynote was more. It was about balancing your home life with your work life and finding fulfillment. And like the one thing I remember him saying was, do the work that scares the shit out of you. And that's I feel like I feel like that's what we do that nobody else does here, because they stick with what they know.
Yeah.
And like with this ad on Saturday, we don't have enough. Like we don't have medieval knights and all the armor and stuff that we need.
Well, I don't know where the LARPing community went, but we don't have one. I
don't know. But so like I'm jumping on and I'm getting digital 3D modeled characters, and I'm throwing them into Adobe Mixamo and figuring out how to get a knight to sit there and stand in line like he's bored, and all these different things. And we've never done that before. We've never
really done 3D character placement.
Never done character placement whatsoever. Like we've done 3D modeling or 3D model placement and compositing, but like adding
is it easier to go down that road than try to physically find what you're looking for?
Around here, I just don't know where to look. The house I used to live in, there was a fencing and jousting community that practiced in the park across the street from us. But once the virus hit, all that stuff dried up and disappeared.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are hard to get a hold of now.
So, and we put the word out, and I think everybody's still kind of afraid to get out and be around people. Mm-hmm. So
I love that concept, though. It's giving me like a bunch of ideas on what you could do to sort of poke fun at the ancient way of things being done at a city.
Right. And that's the hope is that this video does so well for them that the rest of the county opens up and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, people don't think that y'all are a joke anymore. Like they think you're funny, but they take you seriously now because you're putting something.
That's been a big fight for us doing comedy. Is like we're all about cheesy comedy. I mean, like Airplane is my favorite comedy of all time, and it is so dumb. I mean, it's like 8 jokes deep. The whole movie,
but it does a good job of being. It's not doing dumb in a dumb way. It's doing smart dumb.
Yes, right. Yeah. And even like Dumb and Dumber and stuff like that, you're like, these guys are idiots, but you're entertained by it. Yeah. And so that's kind of our thing is we want to do the smart dumb, and maybe that's how we brand ourselves. We're the smart dumb.
I like that.
You guys do a little mock spot about yourself, just a promotional video, like a 15-second. If you want the Hamil brothers, if you like video production in the Lubbock area, try us. We're smart dumb. Call now, and you've got this look, and you have your brother, your third brother, and you do him up like that character you have, where he's kind of like,
Yeah.
Well, only if you do the voiceover though, because I was really digging what you were doing.
Yeah, that was way better than either of us could do.
Just pretend you work at like a Cadillac dealership, and it's 1997.
DJ,
come on down,
TV station DJ.
Yeah, or like or what's the good one? The announcer at like the baseball game.
Oh, yeah.
It's now in the 3rd season of the 3rd inning. Everything goes up and then down.
Actually, speaking of that,
the Hamil Brothers Video Production Services.
In the movie 42, Dr. Cox from Scrubs is an announcer like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, the 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. That's a great movie, by the way.
You actually mentioned Dumb and Dumber. I've brought that up before, specifically because it's so stupid, yet so good. And I think the thing that makes it good, if there weren't, so there's like kind of 2 components going on there in that film. There's really, really dumb, just outrageously stupid, but the storyline is strong and meaningful, and you care. Yes. There's a friendship. There's trying to find love. And so it's like you've got this really strong foundation, and then you sprinkle on just massive stupidity, but you still stay super strong on that core story. So if you didn't have that core story and it was the stupidity and they didn't really have any specific goal, that movie would fall flat because you'd just be saying, well, it's just dumb and nothing's going on.
It's funny that you mentioned that because every time I watch it, and I always think about this, it's when Lloyd's talking to Harry in their apartment and he's crying and he's like, I just don't want to eat my way through life. And like, as dumb as that sounds, like he's crying.
Yeah.
And you're
it's
like,
real emotion.
Holy crap. I feel that. And you're right. Like my favorite comedies are a great story that just really, and like, they're dumb. Like, just like, hey man, your hands are cold. I've been wearing these gloves the whole time.
Everything. Every 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Every time the camera cuts, it's like, it's funny. And then you cut to this and it's a funny reaction to the funny thing. It's always funny in that movie.
It is, but it's all, and like, it's just it sticks with you, and you're right. Like if you don't have good story to sprinkle comedy on, it just falls flat, and it's like, okay, this is dumb. And I think that's what we see around here a lot is just the
lack of the foundation, just funny for funny's sake.
And that's our thing is like we did a web based ad. How long was it? Like 7 minutes.
5 of it was content. 2 of it was a waste of time of our actor just posed in front of a fireplace.
Yeah, but people watched.
Oh, the one where you're doing like the shoot. What was it called? It was like started with a W.
Yeah, Wonder Track.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually messaged you about that.
You did?
I was like, hey, because we were shooting in a shower that had no shower.
Oh,
glass.
the steam. That was the steam one.
Yeah, it was a steam one, and I was like, hey, how do we do this?
What did you guys end up doing for that solution?
We actually took like a 4x3x4 piece of plexiglass and then like clamped it on a C-stand.
Yeah.
We actually used our Matthews Master car mount suction cups.
Oh yeah, that's right. So
But for the steam part, what did you guys?
I just took a hand steamer,
cool.
the cheapest thing you can buy from Walmart, and steamed it up real quick, and then we shoot.
Oh, so you get like 10, 20 seconds before it faded away.
And we didn't need any more than that, you know. So we could just run it as many times as we needed to, and the way we shot it.
Why the 7-minute format? Out of curiosity.
There is an agency called Harmon Brothers in Utah. They're Salt Lake. I don't remember where they are. They're Provo.
Yeah, Provo, Utah.
Provo.
Are you familiar with the Squatty Potty ads?
Yeah, with the unicorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's them.
Okay.
But their first ads are like 4 or 5 minutes long. But they're and so we started following them really hard. Like, how do they tackle these customers, and how do they get billions of views on an ad that's 5+ minutes?
Yeah.
But what it is the same thing that we're talking about now. It's good foundation. You basically take your client's pain points that the customer's pain point that their product is supposed to solve.
Yeah.
And you play on those things like crazy. Like they have one called the Bed Jet, and it's literally this lady, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm married to a demon," and it crash zooms out, and he's literally like a demon. Like the art is.
He looks very similar to Dave Grohl's character of Satan in The Pick of Destiny.
Yeah, or like Hellboy style,
like a well-made prosthetic suit with the hair.
Dude, it's awesome.
Well done.
And
sells
and
the joke
they just
even
play
more.
They just play on that stuff, and like specifically Bed Jet. Well, you can choose where it cools your half of the bed, and then
what is a Bed Jet, by the way? Is it shoot cold air under your covers or something?
So yeah, it's like an air system for under your covers, but it's all temperature controlled, and just the way that it works, it like reduces sweating or all that kind of stuff. It
just keeps your body heat from sitting in there and baking you alive.
Yeah. Right. So, but the ad is hilarious, and it's like 5 minutes, and so it's funny because they kind of broke the mold on that. Because the thing has always been, people don't sit for 30 seconds, let alone 60. You're probably never going to get them involved. Like, well,
that's kind of the reason I brought it up. Is it almost seems like sort of the higher you get on the budget scale, the shorter the ad is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the lower the budget, they're having you guys do 7-minute ads. It's like, it's completely backwards.
Yeah, it was our idea to do that because originally we were just doing this talking head thing about their product. And it's like, but nobody's going to care.
Well, what happened is we were sitting there shooting with the founder of the company, and he's like, a lot of people think that, digital marketing is some kind of voodoo magic. In like my brain, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I visualize whip pan. So he said that, and I whip pan into, a voodoo doctor jumps in, and he's,
you're like tiki sounds and the smoke and the little shrunken heads everywhere.
Exactly,
the whole thing.
And so we finished with that segment, and I was like, guys, I don't know if you're going to hate me or not, but I'm about to derail your whole project because I've got an idea.
I've got ideas.
I think I've got an idea that will do better than what you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
And I pounded out the script, and we met them over lunch, and like they started reading it. I saw an eyebrow go up, and then they got these big stupid grins on their faces. And they're like, "This says everything we wanted to say."
Wow.
But like I kept turning the page to see what was going to happen next because like there's just there's one joke and there's more and so that was a very successful ad
for
us and it's it's just a miniature movie. If you quit looking at it as an advertisement and turn it into a movie with a plot line, then it changes everybody's attitude.
What was this one? What was the runtime?
It was 7. Yeah, it was 5 minutes
7
of
minutes.
content.
Yeah. And what's funny is that we actually got people to sit through the whole 7 minutes because the very end is this Englishman guy and he's sitting in front of a fire and he goes like this, and then he just sits there, and you're like, okay,
the fire's still going,
and the fire's still going, so you know the ad's not ended.
Yeah.
And then he turns back and he's like, what are you still doing here? Click the link.
Oh, so you could overlay
right.
Yeah.
And
give them time to say, hey, we want you to follow through and go to wherever we're trying to get you to go.
Right.
Yes.
It puts some awkward pressure on the audience, but they loved it. Everybody just loved it.
Yeah. And finally, after the 2 minutes of him just sitting there, he gets up and goes, ugh, I have other things to do, or something like that, and walks out.
Yeah.
Out of frame.
And he still sits there. Yeah, he leaves frame. And,
That's what's really cool is that I get amongst other things, I think one big upside to you guys being able to do your own thing is it sounds like it's just you and the owners of the client.
Yeah. Yes.
You're not going through 19 layers of creatives agencies and all this others. Mm-hmm. At least it sounds like that's probably majority.
We're direct to client. We actually have never had luck. Don't quote me on this, but I think the agencies here are kind of intimidated by us because we have such big ideas, and they're like, "Oh, this is Lubbock, man. We're not ready for that kind of stuff." And we're like,
people don't want that, and it's like, well, then you're out of touch with what people want.
Yeah, because we're the way that we've always done ads, to the best of our ability, is we've channeled early 2000s, 90s Super Bowl ads, right? And so
this is the sort of the you're taking that note from those and going with that style.
Well, it's just
doing something entertaining.
Yeah.
Because what is a commercial other than a break from your TV show that you're kind of pissed that you have to watch?
Yeah.
Right.
And so what do people watch a Super Bowl for? Well, yeah, some of the weirdos like to watch football, but everybody else is there for the commercials, or they were until the last 5 years when they decided to make them all sob stories.
Yeah, that's true, because I remember, I think the first, what was it? I'd have to say Geico was kind of one of the first
Geico
brands that went really let's just go crazy and do something just absurd.
And people know, everybody knows you can save 15% or more by switching to Geico.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Locks it in.
You're and it's not even, and it doesn't even have to be funny. There are some really cool ads that came out during the Super Bowl that you're like, oh, man, I want to be that cool. I'm going to go buy those shoes or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, that's really where we take a lot of our inspiration. We don't want, for our clients, we would be doing a terrible job if we just put another commercial out there that people wanted to, mute the TV or go to the bathroom. So we want to put something out that even if they catch a part of it, they're like, what did I just see? I'm gonna have to sit here watch this again because I, rewind the DVR because I want to see what just happened.
Yeah.
Where are your ads that you're creating playing for your clients?
Most of our stuff is going to web anymore. We're encouraging a lot of our clients to get away from broadcast because around here the age demographic is very high, and so a lot of the people we're working with, they're not looking at the
your clients need to target their clients.
Right. And it works out better for us because if let's say they have a marketing budget of $20,000, well, 15 of that was going to go into airtime because they wanted to play during the news and they only have 5 for production. Well, let's flip that paradigm and say put 15,000 into your production and then put 5,000 into targeted Facebook or Instagram ads,
and only have it pop up to the 20-year-olds or whatever you're trying to get to.
Right, the people that are going to be sitting on the toilet, playing
phone.
A game or scrolling through, and all of a sudden your ad pops up.
Yeah,
oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
and the cost is so much less than going broadcast. At least I would assume it's like that pretty universally, but in our market, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
I think that's ancient. It
is.
It's probably for a very specific type of brand now that's buying ad space on TV or traditional TV.
Right.
Yeah,
But
it's like
the
probably, I would say probably 60 to 65 to 80 now, because like even our parents are about to be in their 60s, and they're on their phones. They're not watching TV. They're streaming everything.
Yeah.
I mean, our mom watches a little bit of the evening news to just know what's going on here.
Yeah,
Sure.
the only ads that I see being effective, just from the little bit I watch when I go to my in-laws, and this is going to sound horrible, but it's the nursing home / old folks homes and the funeral homes,
And diapers. For
because
old people.
those are the only ads that, there is a solid demographic of people that those ads are going to be relevant very quickly for them if they're not already.
Yeah.
But everybody else is on their phone. They're on their
And it's only going to
computer.
go up, because if you figure every new person that's born and turns of age or gets a phone, they're not going the other way. They're only going down the road of phone, tablet, computer screen. Nobody's
digital space. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that that number of percentage of like people that watch TV versus phone and all in digital. I'd say that digital is probably on pushing out traditional.
Astronomical the difference. And
is that up
like,
to you guys to find that target, or does the company itself do that internally?
We normally we're not a marketing agency in the sense of we don't we kind of keep decent tabs on what demographics are looking for, but we're not
doing your placement, we're not doing your ad buys, we're not doing that kind of stuff.
But they give you data, and you include that data in your production as far as the design of the message and how it looks and all these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for the most part. And luckily, and I guess kind of going back to what our client looks like as a whole, most of them have a director of marketing or somebody who knows their numbers and knows this is who we're trying to talk to.
Yeah.
And then they communicate that to us, and we say, okay, right now that kind of audience is going to laugh at this, or this, or they're going to feel heartfelt about this, or this. Like we did a music video back in March or April. And it's a guy who, a friend of ours, actually longtime friend, that wrote a gospel song that's just about like world peace kind of thing, it's the Lord's Prayer, but it's not a new thing. But it was like, he was like, man, I just want to do this for people because I'm feeling it. I know other people need some peace right now. And it's done remarkably well. Like it was in the top 100 gospel songs on YouTube, or on
it had been released for
iTunes.
6 hours, and it hit the number 34 mark. I don't know what it was at by the end of the day on iTunes.
So it's just kind of like knowing when is the right time to do something. And that's something that a lot of our clients have talked about to us, is that we don't just go in and say, yeah, we can do that. Let's spend your money. Well, we will straight up say, I wouldn't spend money on that, man. Like, I don't think right now is the best time that's not the best action right now. And
do you see them appreciate that honesty? Because I mean, sometimes an organization has so many moving parts that they may not even pick up on your honesty. They just want to get something made.
Yeah. And we've fought that to some degree, and like, we know how to gauge them pretty well at this point.
Yeah.
There's a difference between somebody coming and saying, hey, what do you think about this? And this is our minds made up, and this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. What he's talking about as far as kind of deterring people is when somebody comes and they're like, hey man, I just went to I was at a networking event with a bunch of business owners, and somebody said I need a video, so I want to make a video.
They're all hopped up on this idea, but they don't have a direction.
Right. They have no
yet.
idea why they need it, or what, like the different options that they have. And they're like, and the one thing we get all the time is, I was told I need a video, but I don't really need a commercial. I don't know how you would do
and
what
the
I
difference
do.
is,
and we tell them, well, that's not all you need. Like, tell people about your company. Tell them about where you came from, why they should work with you, rather than trying to force feed them a product.
Right.
That comes back to you guys having to educate.
Yes, we do a ton of client education, and luckily we're starting to pick up clients here locally that already know they need a brand story. They already know that they need to do continuing education for their clients once they have them. And they're open. we actually had a meeting, Monday morning,
yeah.
with a company here who does large space disinfection and sanitation. They've been doing it for years. They do hospitals, churches, stuff like that. But now they're making even more money doing it for people. And we shot a project with them that was just their on staff, their chief science officer, who's a doctor of some sort, saying,
he's a microbiologist.
Yeah, that basically is like a 45-minute. You're a teacher in 2020. How do you disinfect and wipe down your classroom?
Yeah.
That's all we're going to talk about. So that's like a client side. Once you're a client, okay, here's things you can do for yourself so you don't have to pay us to come in and do them for you. But they also, so we did that shoot with them, went great. They love it. And they said, okay, now we want you guys to come back and throw every conceivable idea at us that you can. Because there's a lot of things we just don't think about. But you guys have been hired for years now doing this. Tell us what other people are doing, if you think it's relevant to us or not, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So
that's great that you've got clients that respect and trust your opinion and include you in that, rather than, from an artistic point of view, that's probably more, what's the word? I would rather that than them come to you and say, I want a video that's this, and this, just press record. Don't think, just go. Like, you want to you want to be what you want to do, what you want to do, and have some input.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I know, and I know you've heard this conversation too, but a lot of these guys that are like, man, I just don't want to ever do corporate work ever again, because they just get told what to do.
Yeah.
There's no creative behind it.
And, that's why it sounds like you guys have something going there where you've made you've created a niche or whatever you've done to show that that's how you do things, and that you are creative. And then when they see your work and you end up at that lunch, they've already got it in their head that you're not just I'm going to do what you say video production guy. Yeah. You're a creative producer type or group that has input that's valuable, which is great.
Yeah, and that's been one of the advantages to how Dinosaur, some of the agencies and TV stations are around here, is because we get called in and they're like, we want something different. Yeah. They've been feeding us the same stuff for years, and we're just kind of tired of it. Like we dread doing it. We're like, okay, well, if you want to have fun, we can have fun.
Yeah. And like, it's not fun doing a talking head about disinfection. It's pretty kind of boring. But at the same time, like, they gave us the freedom. They were like, okay, so the last place we did this kind of stuff with, they just did us on a white psych, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of bland. And we're looking at their space, and they have this industrial building downtown that's really cool. They've taken all of the main support beams in it and painted them their brand color, which is like this, like a kind of a bright yellow.
It's almost like school bus yellow.
Yeah, it's like a school bus yellow. But we were like, why aren't we utilizing your space? Yeah. They have a very open office space, and it's on brand, and it looks cool. So it's like a depot kind of vibe that's a little more modern. Like, they have, there's lights everywhere, but it's mostly like Edison bulbs.
There's no location fee. It's
right. That's the other thing about Lubbock that I love. We have zero really don't have to have a permit. You just have to have permission.
Yeah. The benefit of a market that's not saturated in filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're right. Location fees. A location fee in Lubbock can be a 6-pack of beer if you know the right guy. It's just that's like, here you go. They're like, cool, man. You can use our whole airplane hangar for the next 5 hours or 5 days. They don't care.
Which would otherwise be like $10,000 a day or something like that.
Right. Yeah, something ridiculous. And so we've told a lot of friends, because we get asked all the time. We've been asked on podcasts, like, why don't you move to LA? And it's like, that's just not where we would work best, I don't think.
I think you guys would be backpedaling if you did that.
Yeah.
Because you've got momentum and you're doing your own thing there. I don't see that would be any benefit to you continuing to do what you're doing. Now, if you're pivoting to something else, maybe, but
right. If we wanted to be like straight up big budget feature films, then that's probably the place to be. But then you spend the next 10, 15 years just trying to get your foot in the door and working your way up there. And like, I am not above ACing or PAing for some shoots if I know the guy and I'm like, yeah, I can PA for him. I don't usually do that, but like sometimes we have productions come in. We've had NFL Network, we've had Phillips 66, we've had a lot of things come into Lubbock.
Well, that would be the way to go. If anyone's talking in your ear about LA, go here and get the client, and then go do the work for him at home, and then deliver the work. It's like, I don't live in LA, but we met there. Who cares where I am? Like that
right, and that's the thing with the advent of digital. We just did a short film, a really good short film. Are you familiar with Dust?
The sci-fi, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this film is going to release on Dust sometime in the next 3 months. I'll say that. I don't know. We don't know exactly when, but I don't know if you're familiar with him. There's a DP in LA somewhere.
You may have met him when you were on tour back in 2014.
Yeah, his name is William Helmuth. He's a bald guy.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I mean, y'all, just knowing the work that you do and the work that he does, I don't know that y'all would ever cross paths because
I get surprised that there's people that I run into. I'm like, how did I not even,
right.
of all the similarities and friends, and it's like, how did we never work? There's so many people here. It's just disgusting.
Right. Yeah. There's not in Lubbock. That's why we stay here. But William, I camera operated for him like 4 years ago in Dallas. They got on a plane to LA. One of their operators just didn't show up, and he was like, "Hey, I know you're in Texas. Can you do this op?" And I was like, "That's a 5-hour one-way drive for me, but yeah, I'll come help you out."
Yeah.
Just because we've been good friends, and
if it's worth it, and there's a good connection there, yeah.
Yeah, it was like the money wasn't great, but it was worth investing in that relationship.
Yeah,
which is that's part of the LA thing. Is just like,
okay, I've taken many jobs that are worth nothing. No part of it has any value to me except the connection to that person.
Right.
Because I know that it's an investment for the future for myself. And that's kind of the selfish way to put it. But the truth is, I'm not doing it because I want to wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not doing it for the pay. And I'm not doing it for all the BS I'm going to have to go through to like get the job done. But I'm going to kill it, because if I come out in the end and ideally somebody else on the crew says something positive to that person about me, that will sell me tenfold, and I'll probably get called on the real gig down the line that's legitimately worth working on.
It's the legitimate exposure bucks. It's not it's not an agency saying, "Hey, we'll give you exposure."
Yeah, blah,
it's
blah.
like the legitimate like making relationships. So William, we troll him mercilessly all the time. I love him to death. We actually did on a podcast 2 nights ago. But I've just been talking to him.
It was a show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. They don't want it to be called a podcast.
Sorry, show.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to Anyway, go ahead.
We're just going to move on from there because it doesn't get better. So I've been friends, and I kind of do this. Out of the two of us, I would say that I'm probably more social than Ross is. Granted, I'm kind of given the time to be because I don't have a family, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife. I'm kind of doing my own thing when I'm at home. So, like, I'll reach out to you and be like, "Hey, man, I haven't talked to you in a long time. How are you doing?"
Yeah.
And I try to maintain some of those relationships. And actually, after the last couple of years, like, William called us after this whole pandemic thing started, and he said, "Hey, we're doing a film, or we already shot it. It's all shot."
Well, he sent it to us just to get feedback.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He sent it to us he's just like, "Hey, can you check this out and give me actually real feedback?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man. I don't have a problem with that." And so we watched and we're like, this is really good.
And this is a short film that he made specifically for the Dust Network?
It was not made specifically for Dust, but I believe that Dust is who is going to distribute it.
Oh, so he made it on his own to promote his own work or whatever.
Yeah, him and the producers just made it.
And it fit on that.
Yeah, it came they presented it to Dust, and Dust was like, "Okay, as far as we know, that's kind of what's going on."
Cool. They got some great stuff on there.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched a lot of it.
Yeah,
so
he sent it to us, and we got through it in like no VFX, no sound. It's all.
Oh, it's like an early mock-up.
This is a rough cut.
Oh, okay.
This is a rough cut with a LUT thrown on,
and some like crappy sound effects.
And so like we got done with it, and we were like, man, even though everything's still green screen, that was a pretty kick-ass movie. I really enjoyed that, and so I was like, So, if you need somebody to do screen replacements on all those consoles, we can do that.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll talk to my VFX guy. He's probably got it covered. But, a couple weeks later.
When he realized how long it would take to just do that portion, he outsourced.
The guy was like, man.
You can get them to do it, thank God, because I don't have the time to do that. Like, he's doing a bunch of other space things, and now because sci-fi is all VFX heavy,
sure,
unless you can get a really good art team that can do even miniatures and stuff like that.
Popsicle stick spaceships.
Yeah, basically. So,
but it was very much one of those. I wasn't. Part of it, I was doing it because I enjoyed doing that kind of work. I love visual effects compositing.
Yeah.
And like, so that there was a little bit of that I was really enjoying, especially some really hard shots to track a screen.
Yeah.
And then, but the rest of it was just doing it to, not only get in, more professionally with William, but, have a chance to work with somebody who appreciates what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like, I think I had 13, anywhere from 15 to 20 visual effects renders that each one, like none of them took less than 6 hours per clip.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're talking a couple of seconds on screen. You know how it is. I mean, it's not like...
Are you taking the shot and generating a mock-up of a CG screen for every shot and whatever the angle of the...
He did all of the...
I did the actual... Yeah, I did all the UI design for the console.
Oh, so it's all handmade from scratch. Like, you didn't take some... Oh, wow.
There was a little bit that I used that was pre-generated because there's a company called Red Giant who does all kinds of VFX stuff. And they actually have a plugin for After Effects. They have the Red Giant Universe, which is great for like motion graphics, all kinds of stuff. But they have one that's Red Giant Universe HUD display. And so it's got some HUD elements, but like I really had to make the bones of it and then say, okay, this I know I can design. This I know I want but can't design. Can I utilize something from Red Giant's very, very customizable UI to throw in there? So, yeah, I was taking all the screen stuff and then, like, it's story-based. Like, the screen's not just the screen to have something cool. How does it help?
There's
the
dialogue
story
getting generated, so everything had to be custom.
Oh, so like actors are pointing at that screen saying you're too high in altitude or something, so it has to kind of blend with that.
I'm going to send you this signal. I'm going to tap here and here, and they just had a green screen on this console that they had designed.
So the actors are just coming up with something to
So the actress is making something, and then instead of it being like, I would assume, maybe I'm not, but like a Marvel movie where it's like, okay, you're going to click here, here, here. I just had to go back, look at the footage, and say, okay, this is about as close as I think as she's going to press these buttons, but I made the buttons extra big, so if she clicks on one side or the other of it, it still works. Yeah,
and like the film was shot in anamorphic, 2x anamorphic. The screen was actually 4x3, but when I first started doing my pre-motion tracking to get all that done, I didn't have anything. All I did was just took a solid in After Effects and put it on, and then he sent me his first mock-up, and it squished it because he built it in 16:9.
Yeah,
and so I had to basically we had
to unsqueeze it.
We had to squeeze it just to unsqueeze it. It was
it's kind of a weird.
But in those they were shooting on Atlas anamorphics, and so they're super soft lenses. So I'm having to make the screen super soft, and the edges have to blend
visually, kind of fit it into the whole look of.
Yeah, it's just the compositing, the nature of your compositing,
your focus, your rack focuses, and all that. I mean, it was an interesting.
I don't know much about compositing on a fully CG composite. I mean, I guess you have the live action plate, but the art of it though I think is really great, and from what I've watched on DVD behind the scene bonus kind of stuff, when it's done right and it's really it's when it's done well, it actually serves a really great purpose and adds a lot to a film for sort of like, it's like, I guess, what would they call that? The trade-off of like sort of screen value or like what the cost of doing it.
Yeah.
One of the really good, this is older, but like pre-CG, but I don't know if I want to say favorite, but just one of the most, I don't know, best used sort of like filmmaking trick version of a composite shot was in Indiana Jones, the first one, when he's leaving the temple and the place is shaking. He had just picked up the little golden
the statue.
Yeah, and he puts the bag down. He's running out, and the guy's across, and he says, "Trade you the whip for the statue.
Throw me the whip. Throw me the idol.
Yeah, throw me the idol." And he throws him the idol, and he drops the whip, and he has to jump across. When he jumps across and he's hanging, he's like this, and there's a shot that's supposedly from the bottom of the pit looking up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That was just him on like a ladder with like a piece of plywood from a low angle and a piece of painted ceiling like gripped up above him. So the usage was like, I don't know where they were, but imagine, okay, how are we going to make a pit? Well, ladder or some rig where you can see him dangle, and like a flat or something above him that shows the sort of ceiling of the thing. And then the camera's down here, and there's a little glass hand-painted...
it's a matte painting.
Yeah, matte painting
of
a POV from the bottom of the pit. So they just dial that in, boom, instant pit, and really the whole thing was just a painting on glass or whatever. I think it was glass.
Yeah.
But I mean, compositing-wise, that was live, like optical compositing, I guess, in the shot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was done, how it was done, if it was done afterwards, but that was the technique. But that's like the best use I've ever come across as far as super, super basic, but for a lot of impact. Because when it only shows for maybe 10 frames or something, but you felt like there's a real pit, he's in real danger, he could die. So it all came together, and the tension and everything, the music. But yeah, compositing, dude, definitely a huge tool. So you worked on that for a while, and now the guy loves you?
So, I mean, I don't know if I call it love. Actually, so the whole experience with him, we've worked with a bunch of directors over the years. And like, I don't think it's any fault of their own, but a lot of them have been or were kind of extremely difficult to deal with. And like, it was I need it this way. I'm married to my storyboards or whatever. Sure. Not how do you interpret this? And so when William came in or contacted us, he said, okay, one, I'm not a designer, so I want you to just take this and run with it. And then they basically gave me a list of notes that said, okay, this is important to the story. This is important to the story. How can we utilize this, that, and the other? Whatever it is.
You need a little bit of information. You can't just go crazy.
Yeah, so I'm not just like, and then I had to go, so that After Effects conference, actually, we got to also meet Jace Hansen, who is a UI designer who did like the inside of Tony Stark's helmet.
Oh, wow.
He did, actually, I think he worked on, he did Need for Speed too.
Yes.
He worked on Need for Speed a little bit. He did some UI stuff for that.
I think he might have done the 3D horses.
Yeah, he did the 3D horses in Need for Speed. He did Ender's Game. He did Big Hero 6. He did some UI design for. So, like, not tiny films, this is a guy who knows what he's talking about. And just, he showed us, like, this is my design. This is what I went through to build the inside of Tony Stark's helmet for Iron Man 3. You've got all your, like, flight pattern stuff. And, like, he was like, I really went in and I researched, like, planes and how they work and what are their readings and stuff like that. And so I didn't go that in depth. Obviously, he gets paid to do that, and this was just hey, can you help us out? And we understood that.
What was the budget for the film?
We got $1, I think. I don't.
I mean the whole budget for the entire film, not just your work.
I don't even know.
What was the runtime? Total runtime?
16 minutes, something like
not
that.
Including credits.
Yes, I think it's.
But he was doing this. He was doing this short film out of pocket in order to have a marketing device for his directing.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he's a DP and he directed
yeah.
this, but typically he's a DP. That's
Okay.
what he is.
But he was trying.
He did a great job on this too.
trying to get his directing reel.
What's
Yeah.
can you talk about the name and the release date?
The film is called Alone,
Yeah.
and I know certain marketing materials have come out for it. The soundtrack was actually officially released for it yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
The composer's name is Michael Vignola, and so yeah, it's the story of a woman kind of lost in space trying to survive.
Yeah, which sounds like most every sci-fi movie ever. But it's really like we both watched it before we were involved with it and we're blown away. And we're very picky. I'm super picky.
Sure.
Like if I see a film and I'm like, I don't want my name on that, then we don't put our name on it. You know, it's like it's like
this podcast. You don't want your name on it, but you just
Exactly. That's why we're censoring everything.
It's just gonna be
personal
dual screen. It's gonna be me and then two blurs with like Peanuts parents' voices. Merp merp merp.
Yeah.
And it won't say Hamil Brothers. It'll just say Two Guys Podcast 1978. Two guys. We think they're guys.
Yeah.
Dust has one of the things that I've enjoyed about Dust is they've seemed to have sort of garnered, maybe harvested sort of these really unique things where they've got a lot of value on screen, but they find sort of new filmmakers and people that have found creative ways to do sci-fi, which I think in general you would assume sci-fi is very expensive or time consuming, like you're saying with the screen replacement. Because if you're going to do sci-fi, the audience kind of expects, okay, I better see laser guns or flying or these extreme things that aren't simple to create.
Just because George Lucas did it doesn't mean the rest of it did.
And what I was going to say is one of the best, and I'm going to look it up right now, but one of the best uses of what do I want to say? Sort of getting a message across, but doing it as simple as possible. And let me find that one. I want to find that for you guys. I'm forgetting the name. So it's
that
called.
Comes with age.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy.
I mean, you're married
favorites.
and have a kid, right?
Let's make this about Hamil Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my memory is definitely okay. There it is. Sci-fi short film Dust Misdrop. So I just wanted to call it out because if someone want to look it up. So it's called Misdrop, and it's this guy, and he's like on. You would assume he's on. You don't ever see it. You would assume he's on like a ship or some sort of troop deployment, mission. And it's got a little humor in there, and at the end you kind of see what he was going into. But the whole time, I'd say the first 90% of the film, you're locked on this wonder of this guy's face in this seated like position, and but through the dialogue and a little bit of reflection on the glass, I guess, of his helmet, you get a sense. And there's like a few moments of like a picture-in-picture of some sort of controlling system talking to him, things like that. But you can tell it's such a strong use of sci-fi while still being super simple and really easy to pull off as far as sci-fi goes.
That's pretty similar to this one in that they utilized a lot of suspension of disbelief and like they just like one thing I have to give major props to is the sound team was in Seattle and they did such a good job. Like most people don't realize how important sound actually is in a movie,
dude.
Until I'll tell you, the best way to know how important sound is go to a movie theater that has crappy sound.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And you're totally out of it, but you're like, you believe that it's way bigger than it is and that there's all this world happening around it. And one of the things that I appreciate about it is I know what was behind the camera. I know how small the set was. I know how they built it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But cognitively, it puts my brain to sleep, and basically tricks me into believing this is all real or it's happening.
It's total immersion.
Yeah, it's total immersion.
Yeah.
So, and then after that,
working.
it's like, oh, hey, it's actually still a movie, and it's just like That's how Hollywood's done it forever.
Well, that's one of the things our clients will probably never know what we do for them.
Yeah.
Like that talking head we did last week with the guy talking about cleaning and COVID. I went through, I cleaned all of his dialogue. I added room tone and like traffic noise.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So it sounds like it sounds like he is where he is, and nobody's going to know that I added that in there,
Yeah.
but I did. And if it wasn't there, they would be going, something's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard, I forget who, when, but through in interviews with people specific to sound and things like that, the way a lot of the times I've heard it described is your average audience doesn't know what they're talking about, but when it's not right, they're like off put,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we tell people, of course, all the camera people and all the visual people are like, it's 50-50 in a film. And I'm like, it's really like 80% sound, 20% visual. Because if your sound guy sucks, everybody knows it. And
you
you're
can have
right.
a good movie with bad sound, and it's a bad movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
But if you have a bad movie with good sound, it can be a decent movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like the way we explain that to our clients is, because everybody's, well, sound can't be that important. I'm like, okay. So
because they don't know, you have to educate them again. They don't know. They don't. They don't realize.
It's an easy education because we tell them, so you're driving to your friend, you're driving to a friend's house and you've never been there before. You know the address, you're on the right street, but you've got kids in the back seat arguing and the radio's on. So when you know you're getting close to the address, what do? You tell
Turn the
them,
radio down.
shut up, and you turn the radio down so you can see better.
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
but when we explain to them that way, they're like, huh.
Yeah.
That
Made it
that's
real
exactly
to them.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we do a lot of
That
education.
that reminds me of how much I miss going to the movies, because when you're at a theater and there's all those
dude.
speakers, you get that immersion, like you're saying. When
I'm
it's
dying.
and it's funny is if you ever step into a movie theater, what's a good example? So you're going to a movie, right? You're sitting there the whole time. It's halfway through, and you got to go to the restroom. You go to the restroom, and you're coming back to your theater that's got your seat, and like right next door, maybe the door's open, or whatever, is another movie you haven't seen, so you peek in or something. It's so damn loud in there.
Yeah.
You're like, Jesus Christ, that's so loud.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it because when you're in your seat and all those speakers are kind of placed the way they're supposed to, and you're in it, but they're powerful enough to where they can let you hear like a little mouse walk, and the actor can react to it because there's enough amperage and everything coming through. You're really immersed with the ability to do that. If you just have stereo speakers and they're this big or something, you can't get all that.
Yeah.
So the immersion is lacking in a home the average home theater or TV,
Right.
especially
Yeah.
if the speakers are on the back and they're TV and they're this big, dude. You don't get, I'd say,
No.
50% or less of what's actually meant
Yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's funny. I was earlier this year. It feels like last year. Earlier this year, I went and saw the second Jumanji that has The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black in it.
Probably
They're
heavy
not
on sound
very-
design.
Yeah. So but what's crazy about that is that the center channel wasn't as loud as it's supposed to be, which is dialogue, and then the ambience channels left and right and surround were like 40% lower than they should have been. So you get to this shot where it's all CG'd at this point,
Sure.
but it looks like they're flying over a canyon and there's like monkeys swinging and stuff, and it cuts to music, but the music's so low that it's like you're out. You're out of the movie.
You think that was the theater's fault where they dialed wrong?
I actually messaged the theater on Facebook and I said, hey, y'all probably don't know this, but I was in this theater and this is your mix problem.
I'm taking to social media. Fuck this. You better good sound for me. I'm a connoisseur, damn it. Hamil Brothers.
Yeah, no, so actually they know us. And I wasn't mean. I just messaged them and I said, hey, just so you know, because your other audience isn't going to realize what happened, but they didn't have a good experience.
They're going to know something was wrong, and they're going to think the movie
Right.
sucked.
They won't know why.
So
They'll just go, that sucked. I don't know
what
what
happened. I think that this was happening. I don't think your left channel was even playing.
Yeah.
It's like weird. It's like center and right. And it's very disorienting
Yeah.
when you're in a surround system. And what had happened, I found out later, is that they have D-box seats. I don't know if you'll have D-box in LA, but
I've seen the ad. It's just like it's a seat
seats
that does something during.
Yeah, it's like going to a Disney show at like one of the theme parks, and like the seat vibrates.
It's just some piece of shit they can charge $5 more a ticket and make you vibrate. Put a phone up your butt.
20.
20 more, Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
They should just say, take your iPhone and like dial into this thing that's synced to the movie, put it in your butt, and it'll vibrate every time you. And give us 20 more bucks.
Your iPhone differently than I do.
Yeah.
I have mine on vibrate all the time.
So, but anyways, I messaged them. They're really nice. They're like, hey, thanks for letting us know. What happened is, so you have to run your sound through the D-box because that's how it triggers its, movement stuff.
Yeah.
And what happened is that it didn't come out of D-box properly after that. And they're like, so we just unplugged D-box, stopped selling tickets for it, and rerouted our sound.
So they knew about it.
Us. Well, they didn't know until I told them. I said, I don't know where it is. If it's a booth mix problem,
right.
I don't know how it works now because you don't have most theaters here don't even have a projection booth anymore.
Right. Well, like they have a digital projection, don't they?
Yeah, they have digital projection, but like this specific theater, it's up on a platform stand in the back.
Oh, it's just a digital projector that's outside of the booth.
Yeah, so I don't know if they were even built with a booth. And this theater is like, I think it was built in 2011 or 2012. I mean, it's relatively new. Mm-hmm. It was the IMAX theater that we got that's crappy. But anyways, I had free tickets, went and saw the movie with friends, and I was like, I just want y'all to know this is...
Sure.
I know what the problem was. I don't know how to diagnose it exactly.
Yeah.
And then we ran into the manager at a trade show or something a couple of weeks later, and he's like, "Yeah, thanks for telling us that. It was actually this."
I think that the of any place, a theater that has and you're going to a theatrical narrative film where it's this, probably the most amount of audible cues that you would get in a visual experience. If the audio is hurting there, it's really bad. If the audio is hurting at home or on your laptop or her phone, I mean, you may not even notice. It's kind of
forgivable.
Yeah. But there, it's like, dude, I'm getting this blank feeling from left. Like I'm dying here. Like I feel like I'm getting knocked in the head over here.
I feel like,
and there's this
I have to turn and look to the right for everything. Like seriously, like I noticed myself turning. It's pretty wild. But
the design for a theater on the sound side is a really big deal. The way they angle those so everyone gets something. I mean, it's not underthought. It's a huge deal. Yeah. Because the theatrical soundtrack is gigantic. There's so much going on, all mixed in the way it is. I don't know the details, but that's no joke.
Yeah, we actually
I do know all the details.
It's a lot,
and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of something that we take into account when we do work for people. Is hey, we want this to be an immersive experience for you as well. And so we do a lot of things that I know nobody else locally does. Like we'll do Foley, we'll do sound effects, we'll do ambiances. There's a whole mix process we go through. It's not just, hey, let's put some music behind this, except for sometimes it is, because if it's talking head, you don't really have to Foley it. But
you kind of have to be soup to nuts because of the market and who you are. You can't really say we only shoot and we don't edit, or you have to kind of do. Yeah, we're obviously shoot edit, but you have to touch on everything, I would assume.
Right. Yeah. Well, one of my favorite projects we've done in the last few years was a crop insurance brand story of all the boring things that anybody could ask us to shoot. But, we had aerial out over this, farmland and, just a lot of B-roll.
It was actually all B-roll. There.
Yeah, it was all B-roll for that one. And, what people don't think about is, we have the camera really low and just kind of a huge depth of field shot of dirt and a little bit of CRP just to kind of, just show, some of the land out there.
What's CRP?
Well, it's
crop retention program.
Yeah,
it's like a really thick grass, a very yellow looking.
It helps keep the soil healthy.
Okay.
Yeah. But we have a low shot of that, and it's so when it comes to that shot, I've got you hear wind blowing a little bit because you can see the CRP moving. You hear crickets out there. and then it cuts to an aerial of a tractor, doing whatever it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is where a lot of smaller companies miss the mark. You hear the tractor, but I've got it EQ'd and mixed where it sounds like it's 100 yards away. Whereas
the camera mixing.
most of your guys who they do video and they'll throw in sound effects. Well, they throw in the tractor and it sounds like it's sitting right on top of the microphone.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Because that's where it was recorded.
And that that's a lot of problem with ADR. Even on big budget films, you get a point where it's like that person just sounds a lot closer than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some storytelling stuff. If you have a couple that they're a little speck on the horizon, you can hear them intimately talking.
Sure.
That's a creative decision.
Sure.
But there were so many elements in that a guy stepping on the step to get up in the trailer or in the tractor, a boot on a metal clank that, people wouldn't notice really if it wasn't there because of the music, but the fact that stuff was in there.
It adds so much
that was
value.
one of the things, everybody that watched it, they were like, I don't own any property and I want to buy crop insurance because that just watching it made me feel good.
Yeah.
And if you just listen to it, it makes you feel good.
And it doesn't take much. I think it goes back to the thinking of, adding value and getting the most you can out of something. You may even have like a subscription to some service where there's a whole bank of audio you could use in there for a license you're already paying for, or you have a great microphone, you can DIY it or something. But if it's something you can just grab off a hard drive or off of a server and throw it in there and dial it in, and then let's say it takes you an hour or less, you may just blow your client away and you added an hour to your workday, but you probably added, word of mouth, like times 10 or something, let's say, to your client. So it's like that value is huge.
We do a lot of that. And like, we're getting now where we've gotten some bigger contracts to do more stuff, like specifically graphics wise. I got a job from some friends to do graphics for Facebook proper for a project they were doing. And so those kind of things, we bill them like full rate, everything, because it's Facebook.
Oh yeah, they're not mom and pop. You can throw the full value. You can say, I mean, I think that's, in fact, I remember when you're doing something, I think I had a for instance, but when you're the boss and you're creating your own content, there's no day rate for that sort of like employee. You guys can be like, we cost $1,500 a day, or we're $500 a day. Who are you? It's a game.
We do that. We're trying to help our clients, and through education, we kind of help them realize, okay, we'll say this is our budget, and they're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, I'm just telling you this. If you go to Dallas, you're going to pay 6 times this for the same work to be done. Because in Dallas, they're going to have, you're going to have a first AD, you're going to have a director, you're going to have a creative agency involved. You're going to have,
well, they want to bring in the whole sort of like the way they do it on a big job, and the budget balloons up.
We don't do that unless we have to, because we need a spot filled that we cannot physically take care of ourselves. Right. And so
you got 2 weeks or something, and you're like, look, we can't do this by, we have to have another guy if it's a 2 week.
And usually that's something that goes into the budgeting process for us. And we say, okay, we're going to have this guy, and you don't really get to tell us that we don't get to have him.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be like, okay, do we really need this guy? And we're like, okay, this is what he's going to do. And if you want to be done with this shoot day before 12 hours, you're going to want him there. They're like, okay.
Yeah. Cheaper for you to hire this guy than pay all of us OT or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very much so.
And so we're just constantly, but it's the same thing. We can choose whatever our day rate is. We have a number we don't want to go below.
Sure.
But also our numbers could be realistically much higher now than they were 5 months ago, just because we haven't made hardly any money. I mean, it's come back since then. We've had some pretty big projects that got postponed that came back later. But
are you saying that like you are you noticing that the market is different in the sense of you may be charging more specifically because people haven't been working?
No, not necessarily. I think his point was we probably could because we are working and other people aren't.
Yeah.
So just the lack of.
Oh.
We've been very open with our clients and said,
Gotcha.
listen,
Yeah.
we haven't had consistent work since March, but that's not a reason for us to charge more. But most of them, like this disinfection company, we were just talking to the CEO and he was like, man, what did it do to y'all? And we're like, well, we projected wise in the midst of it, we lost about half of our annual revenue. Just for what we were projecting we were going to get based on past years.
Well, stuff we had on the books.
Stuff we had on the books that either canceled or postponed.
Yeah.
Some of those have come back, so that's been great. But at that point, we didn't know. And, I mean, the way we don't treat money like we have it until it's in our pocket, the bank account, whatever it is. You know how it is because everybody's talk until they have to pony up with the cash. So,
it's not a real job until they give you some money to start working with or something.
Yeah. So, but we were talking to the CEO and he was like, man, we get it. We've heard it from all of our clients. Every one of them has had this. Everybody's been affected, mostly negatively in a financial situation.
Yeah.
So
unless you're Jeff Bezos and all of a sudden the entire world is buying everything from you,
right.
Then you're doing great.
Yeah. So he was like, let's sit down. We need to create a bunch of content anyways.
Interesting.
We've wanted to do it. We just haven't made ourselves. So let's sit down next week and figure out how to schedule it where we're doing stuff through the end of the year so you guys can make back some of the revenue that you lost, and then we still get what we've needed to do anyway.
I'm curious, what triggered this guy to see video as a way to grow his business?
Well, it started off, we have produced 3 seasons of a podcast for our local Economic Development Alliance. And this 3rd season, he was the first guest that we had. And so and it's a podcast, but it's also a video podcast. So he had seen
you guys work in a sense.
Yes.
We got to go
experience
into a
us for
hotel.
free.
Yeah, we got to go into a hotel that was renovating. And like they wanted the press and the PR, and they gave us a location for free that was really it was an incredible location.
Hotel, yeah.
Awesome.
And so he came in, and we've got an 8 by butterfly suspended over this table to keep the
skylight from
blowing
you
us
had enough.
out.
You had enough room to control the environment in a nice way.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so
we've got combo stands everywhere. We've got like China balls and LED tubes, and I mean, we basically used that to cut it out. I wish it would have been a black, but we didn't have one. We don't have one big enough yet. But or a black solid, whatever you want to call it. Over them, so it's just a really, really super thick diffusion, like a magic cloth style thickness. And then we just, we lit it ourselves, so we knew like the background fluctuated a lot because we had a gigantic skylight, but all of our talent was the same, exposure the whole entire time. And he came in and he was like, "Holy crap! I didn't know you did this much to do a podcast." And we're like, well,
so
we do.
Yeah, so he had his second in command contact. He was like, "Hey, yeah, one of our employees was on your podcast, and we want to talk about maybe working together." So they called us in, and we scheduled a meeting to just kind of talk about their first project. And between when we had that meeting and when it came time to shoot, the podcast and the videos had dropped, so they saw it and they were like, "Oh, so it wasn't just a cool setup. This looked incredible."
Put them over the top.
So it went from "you guys look like you know what you're doing" to "oh yeah,
now we know
y'all
you
got this." Yeah,
yeah.
So
well, I mean, the reason that's a thing here is because there was a production company who used to have a Red One, and they'd rent out a Fisher 10 and like all this really expensive gear to shoot in 30 frames a second and make it look like crap.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like you can show up with whatever camera you want. One of the things I always get annoyed about is when cinematographers post on their Instagram or wherever social a picture of a camera. It's like nobody fucking cares that you have a camera, dude. show me what you can do. It's like a carpenter's Instagram, and he's got a picture of a hammer. That's great. What do you make? You know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
nobody
when you put it that way, it makes us feel dumb.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
well,
don't shame me, Alex.
so stop posting
do
pictures of
have-
cameras then. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, but we owe it to some of our equipment partners.
yeah, that's
whether
true.
you do that or not, you get my gist behind it. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, no, I
it's
to- I
like
totally
you don't,
get that.
if you do a job, auto mechanics don't post pictures of air tools. You know, it's just like, if
Yeah.
you're good at something, let's see the work. And that's what I'm getting at with you guys is that
Yeah.
this guy, you said you were good. He saw you guys set up, but then he saw your
end product.
product, and he's like, so that's
Yeah.
really the best.
Yeah,
the best
we've actually had
marketing
that
device.
conversation several times, just looking at different agencies, and it's like, okay, you say all these are your clients, but you have no evidence on your website that you actually did anything.
Yeah.
And that's a big reason that we've been picked up by NFL Network and Phillips 66 and some of these other, well, they're agencies or whatever, not them directly, but
Sure.
like, you know, we're picking up these jobs because our website, they'll come to us and they'll call us and they're like, yeah, we called some other places first, but y'all's website actually has stuff from like this year on it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And,
huge
like,
too.
Our reel isn't current. Our reel is like early 2019, but that's still more current than a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, but our website, like, I've got blog posts going out until maybe the 1st of October or something.
Yeah.
And then anytime we finish up a project, as soon as we're done with this county tax assessor thing, like I'll do a write-up for it. And like, they're not usually, it's not the greatest grammar and, you know, like it's not a professional blog, but at
Well,
least
you guys, I think you have to take whatever job you do and
Yes.
and maximize its value for yourselves.
Yeah. Mhm.
Aside from the pay you're getting, you got to promote it. You know, I'm
So
looking
now
at this. I'm looking. Finally, I didn't notice till I scrolled down, but the I guess hotel center lobby where you have that rag up there.
Oh yeah,
You guys,
yeah.
you had a ton of room to work there, and that amount of like good soft light makes people look great. I think.
Yes. Dude, our hostess on there is phenomenal. She's so cool. But like, I love taking photos of her under that light because
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of the behind the scenes photos. Obviously, you can see, but also I was shooting headshots and stuff for their marketing team to use for their marketing, however they wanted to. And some of the stuff I shot, they used. Some of the stuff one of their girls came in and shots, whatever. But the hostess, I loved shooting her on there. You can probably find it, but she's like, it's
I see
black
like a
and
little
white.
bit of a it's auto playing some photos. Looks like some stuff you took of the,
Yeah.
of
Oh,
the,
cool.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
host and other guests.
Yeah, so that's just kind
And
of
you
how
guys
we-
with your cameras.
Yeah, I know. Stop. Now you may. Now
No,
delete
I'm not trying to
everything
make you
on
feel
Instagram.
bad. I just it's so rampant because I end
Yeah.
up running into people or flicking through Instagram, and it's so often. If it was like once in a
Yeah.
while, whatever. But when some person, like one specific kind of person, there's I'm not going to name a name, but if you're a cinematographer, you know, there's no one you
Yeah.
know. It's just this random dude, and it's nothing personal, but it's like you can say you're a cinematographer, but when you post a picture of a camera, to me, that's just so. Once in a while is
There's-
cool, but when it's like every time you work, you show a picture of your camera. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
don't you realize that people don't like care what kind of hammer you swing? If you do roofs, do a good roof. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that's a good point though. Like we have we developed a relationship with some of the people at Red Giant, and I mean they don't really care if I share the icon on my desktop. They want to see screen grabs of me compositing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I try to do my, like, so I run pretty much all of our social media. If you ever talk to us on there, it's usually me. Sometimes Ross will jump on, but like he's busy doing a lot of our admin side of our admin stuff. And then, you know, doing either editing, color, VFX, whatever. So like we just divvy up however is best for each project, but I usually cover 100% or 99% of the social media stuff. And so
It's
it's
more like 98.5.
Yeah, okay.
I get 1.5%.
1.5%.
Ross shoots a meme in there once in a while to even
Yeah,
things up.
exactly, dude. That's all I use him for. Actually, I have a sticker I need to send you that we just had some made. I don't know if you saw them on our Instagram, but it's a holographic sticker.
You sent me that one.
Did
The Hamil Brothers holographic?
No, not this one.
No, this one's brand new. These just came in. If you look at our Instagram, it's not very old. I think it's. Let me see. This is the wrong one.
Come on, Jacob.
Yeah, it's like the 6th post or something. So it shows it's like on a hard drive. It's a little red hard drive. But people have blown this sticker up like crazy. I'll have to send you one because.
Oh, came for the movie, stayed for the memes. That's you. Oh, I didn't know you made that sticker.
I designed it.
I guess I should have assumed it says HamilBrothers.com. Is it who'd you go to, by the way? What sticker?
So we do everything through Sticker Mule.
I love Sticker Mule. Yeah,
I always
I love and hate them because
I know
they
spend
take
my money.
I know.
But
it's when they send that thing out, when they send out the ad, and it's like whatever.
It's like 50 stickers for $19.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll get more.
Yeah,
you can't beat that, dude.
No, you can't, and especially their
shout
hollow
out to
stickers.
Sticker
Mule. Yeah, their hollow stickers are usually like $79 for 50. So
and to be honest with you, I haven't used a lot of. I've used maybe 2 others, like online sticker printing.
Yeah.
But I've had I've got a cup like this cup that I've put in the wash. It's a smooth surface. There's good, you can stick to it, but it's gone through a dishwasher and they don't even come off. No, and I've got a Sticker Mule on the back of my window of my car, and that's been years of weather and washing, and it doesn't even start to come off. So they're doing something right, that's for sure.
Yeah, I have been super impressed, and I love the way they feel.
Yeah.
Just the way they feel,
like a nice thickness and nice quality.
It's the American Psycho business card conversation.
Oh, I don't remember it, but I know of it. I haven't seen that movie.
I think they're at I don't really remember it either. I just know that
they're just getting into the minutia of like what it feels like.
Cards, who has the coolest card? Yeah. But that's the thing with those stickers, man. They feel so good, and I'm like, dude, just keep sending me those. I will. Yeah. So anytime die cut stickers go on sale, I have. When
I see that in the email inbox,
I know.
Die cut, I'm like, fuck. There goes and I actually, I've gone out of my way, so I'll what I haven't printed yet, and it's only because I'm waiting for the $20 deal to come through.
Yeah,
like I've made a few from 1978 stickers that are like I hate to use the word. What word should I say? Not that word. They're like there's no good word. They're ripoffs of brands like Puma or Nike or Facebook.
They're so I'll parodies.
Parodies. Hey, that's a great. Yeah. See, you're a great writer, production.
Yes.
I'll take their like a buddy of mine uses that Fox News Square thing.
Oh yeah.
But I'll just put my words in there. It's a lot of like graffiti guys will do that.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, it's pretty popular to do.
Yeah, but I haven't printed them because I'm waiting for that thing. So every time that comes through, I'll get a new thing, and then it's like, oh, I got a new sticker. But I waited for the deal.
So actually, I have like 3 Sticker Mule accounts now.
Oh, really?
Because it's per account. They probably don't want me to tell you this, but that deal is good per account.
Yeah.
So like, if you just sign up a couple of other emails, you get 3 times as many stickers for that deal. So
we're also buying different stickers.
It's not.
So we're getting stickers for the band.
We're getting them for Hamil Bros. I just redid the actual hollow stickers that we had, but the meme stickers so the other cool thing with Sticker Mule is that you can do like 10 for $9.
Oh, the little sample or something.
Yeah, so it's like samples, and so that I would prefer to do those. So I did those with our meme stickers, and now I'm like, oh, I know I want to produce 50 of these, and not because I did it down the first time and just bought 50 for a sticker thing that I was just desperate to make stickers. Really, that's the honesty of it. Yeah. But I've got 50 of these stickers, and I'm probably just going to throw away because they're useless.
What are they?
Those the voting ones for the FedEx thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, just some random thing that like.
They were just too specific.
Oh.
Actually, it was right around like voting this past spring or whatever. So it kind of made sense. It's like it said I voted, but then it says Hamil Bros on it instead of like the.
Those might actually be funny this November. Keep those around. Don't throw them away.
Yeah. So
Might be a
anyways,
little meme, a little in-house meme there for you. Some ammo to shoot up.
So anyways, now my next one will be. So I have a personal Sticker Mule account. We have one for Hamil Bros. And we have one for the band.
I mentioned that to somebody recently. Actually, I've mentioned it a couple times. Is the way that I sort of caught wind of the Sticker Mule ad was I wanted to make a sticker a long time ago. It was the first time I had used like an online sort of corporate place that there was no face to it. It's just, we promise you it'll be great.
Yeah.
And until you touch it, you don't know. You're like, oh, this looks cool in the online, but so
the proof looks great, but then
it's like then you see it and you're like, this is thin, and it's like it's going to actually soak up water. I realize I'm like, what the hell? So I'm going to try these guys, and I think what I did is I went to the website, I put my design on there, and I got a proof or whatever, and I think I had gone up to the point where it was in my shopping cart, but I hadn't bought it yet or hadn't paid, and then I go off and do something else by accident or forget to do it, and it was a few days, and I get an even better deal email from them. They had my email at this point. Yeah. So whatever the cookies or however the information's coming back to them, they realized
Looks
I'm like
you forgot to check out.
Yeah, something to that effect. It's like their algorithm says this guy's on the cusp of spending money. Send him another. So they sent me something, and I was like, and I tried another place, and I forget what it was called, like Lava Monster. It was all right. Sticker Mule ended up being better.
Yeah,
but I was like, I'm gonna go up to the point of sale in the inbox or the shopping cart with them. Same thing. They sent me a deal. So I was like, basically, as soon as the company realizes that you're sort of a better than average potential customer, they do a little sort of automated push to try to get you to go over the top. So anywhere you go, if you go to the point of shopping cart and they've got your email, whatever the process is on their website, make sure they have your email. This is advice, basically. They have your email and that you've shown them you're very interested, you'll get an ad for probably a lot less than you were about to pay. Then you put that code in and you get a deal. I always do that with stickers now. Never have I paid for their full face value or whatever.
I haven't either. Yeah. I just wait for the deals, man. And like, what's cool is earlier this year watch for their holo stickers, dude. Or they're holographic stickers, what they call them.
Yeah.
But
I did that once with my primary logo, and I like it, but I try to like always do something new. I want to have as many different like looking. I have my sort of main like black and white, but then I want to have all these little offshoots.
You're gonna have to send us some at some point.
I should send you a packet of I've got like probably 5 going right now. They're just random.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm like in the vein of like I want it to be humorous, but also want it to be us.
Yeah.
And so like for years, I've had these ideas for T-shirts, but T-shirts are just stupid expensive. Yeah. You know,
it's a whole new game. The T-shirt game.
T-shirt game is so tough to get into.
You know what I wanted? I wanted to get into the PVC patch. You seen those?
Oh yeah.
But like,
I actually just bought one.
Did you?
Super dope. Yeah, it's
did you have to get like a
skull.
I'm saying like you having your own design.
Oh no, I haven't done that.
I found that the cheapest way to do it is number one, you have to buy I think 100 units, and even then it comes down to like they're like cost you like $6 each.
Yeah, well, for our band, I just bought 100 shirts for $4 a piece.
Yeah.
But they're not great shirts, but I don't necessarily care too much. Like, it's band merch. People kind of lower their standards, that kind of stuff. But what I figured out is that I can throw a design on a sticker. It costs me almost nothing. Yeah. And if people like it, that's great. But if they don't, then I just spent $9 for 10 stickers, and I'm not out the cash. So, like,
that's a good
I have a sticker design that my first one that I was like, I've wanted this on a shirt for years, and I intend to put it on a shirt at some point. But it says, "I'm not single. Bacon and I are in an open relationship."
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I've seen that. So, I've seen you post that one.
Yeah, I shared it, and then it's like, "Anybody want this?" And they were like, "No." Yeah. So
that 20 for 50 though. That's I think what is that like? Yeah. That's like 42 cents or something. I don't know the math, but when you get down to almost 50 cents a sticker, you're got my money. I mean. That's pretty damn low. Too bad T-shirts and all that can't get in that world.
Yeah, well, you know, there's probably Yeah, it's not going to be pretty if you're paying 42 cents for a shirt. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure it gets probably down to that, but you have to be buying thousands
Right.
of shirts at a time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Metallica and your merch table is selling shirts like one every second, then maybe
Yeah.
you can buy
For
1,000.
$45 a piece or something ridiculous.
Let's find out what those numbers are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what's next? That you said you guys are coming out of COVID sort of darkness into working again, and you got a couple things under your belt now, and you got this shoot that sounds like it's probably going to happen.
It's scheduled. It was on the books for Saturday with the county. So that's the first thing that we've got going on. And then with the cleaning and disinfectant company, we don't have a hard date yet, but they're anticipating the next video to happen in at the end. Well, no, at the end of August.
Oh, end of August.
And then they're wanting to schedule some stuff for September. So
Cool.
we're kind of like I said, we're kind of coming out of it there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to get in with one of our local universities because apparently they would like more options for their video stuff than the current vendors are offering.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
A buddy of mine that I know does what you guys do, but he did it for anybody, and then he got in with I forget the name. So QuickBooks, but is it owned by?
They're owned by Intuit.
Intuit, that's it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So he's got in with them so good that all he does is videos for them 24 hours a day. Well, full time, he's just always doing.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in the COVID era, so I don't know what is going on with him, but pre-COVID.
I'm sure that they went pretty big because one of the big deals that happened is they pushed back tax season to July.
Oh yeah.
From April. So thank goodness for both of us.
Yeah, because man, come
April
July
would not have
14th,
been
I
really-
was sweating bullets trying to remember what all I did last year.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a level that I don't necessarily ever want to be at.
Well, he's essentially an employee at this point. The way it's working, he's not.
And I don't.
He's not doing what you guys are doing. He's just
my goal,
turning the wheel.
Yeah.
My goal, if we ever reached that point, it would be to expand and scale.
Yeah.
Just to where we can have some employees and maybe cycle different people through those jobs.
Yeah.
That way, it's not the same person having to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Clients getting something semi-fresh, and whoever our employees may be are not getting, like you said, stuck in the wheel.
Yeah.
Are you guys thinking about how you can expand and do the same thing you're doing in the same market? Are there ideas floating around?
Yeah.
I know that small markets aren't as easy to grow in, but
Right. So it just depends on the conversation we usually have is, man, if we can get this client, we could do X, and like one of our local universities is a D1 school. It's a Big 12 D1 school, and they spend a lot of money. They want to. And the way that they're structured, as you probably know with a lot of big corporation kind of things, is if they don't spend the money, they don't get the budget next year. So they have to burn it. We're like,
burn every
it on
penny.
us. So we have a couple of interns, or at least one specifically that lives here. It's not an intern anymore. He's PA'd, AC'd for us. He's kind of just...
He'll always still be the intern.
Yeah, he'll always be an intern. But love him to death.
Yeah.
And he actually works for the Health Sciences Center for that university.
Oh.
But, we kind of groomed him for that job, and then he got it, which I'm glad for him. But we would like to be able to hire him back at some point because we work really, really well together.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we have a Best Buy building that just went up for sale or is open because they moved locations in Lubbock because where they were, it was really hard to get to. It's a parking lot that doesn't make sense. So they moved it somewhere else. It's much easier accessed. And so there's just this giant, huge open building with nothing in it. And I'm like,
you guys are like,
stage.
oh,
Dude.
but you'd have to find some guy with deep pockets to turn it into a production space, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we don't have deep pockets. And
So what I like, even if we couldn't turn it into a production house, we could easily turn it into a rental house because there's nothing between
here in
Albuquerque and Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
but-
think if you grew, that the way to grow would be to be multifaceted in the sense of you offer more things like rental or in-house production with space and all things like that.
Yeah, I think that would be the key to having some, not necessarily passive income, but like there are
almost like a parent company style thing.
With the university being here, there are productions coming through all the time, and they're always they call us and they're like, hey, so we have a rental list here, and it's like, well, we have 10% of that. Nobody else has any of it.
Yeah.
And so I would love to be able to, take care of a lot more of that stuff.
Yeah.
And, just take their money when they're in town.
Yeah. The problem is that we get those calls maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Productions aren't coming through big enough that it warrants the amount of money that we would have to spend just to keep it open.
Right.
Being in the rental business, like people come in and they're like, I need like 4K HMIs. I'm like, well, good luck.
Yeah. You don't want to buy those and have them sit on the floor for 8 months and then you rent them once.
Because one, they won't be worth a crap.
Right.
In storage.
That's another
even.
hard part about that world is you guys, as technology moves so fast that investing in tools, it's like the little I know is that there's some things that'll last. I think like lenses, maybe lights.
Lenses
have a long
and
lifespan.
batteries are pretty.
But the body of the camera,
yeah,
a year or two.
Every time.
Yeah.
Red just released their 6K little pocket thing that they do.
I feel like from my point of view, and I'm not even a cinematographer, but I'm on whatever email lists and I get from No Film School or something where they show you kind of like what's going on. Man, it feels like Sony and Canon, and it's just like, hey, guess what? There's a new 8K, 16K. This is, and like, why would anybody buy a camera anymore? I mean,
it's for us, like what I love, we're hardcore Blackmagic guys. We have been, because they gave us good color science and a camera that we could buy. We own all of our gear. We've not financed any of it except for that. I just financed my new laptop. It's a maxed out MacBook Pro. Got the loan for it, bought it, and then we got shut down by COVID a week later. And I was like, uh-oh.
Can I return this?
Yeah, well, I financed for a little bit more than what I actually paid dollar amount on the laptop, so I could cover those payments if in the event that something happened, and it did. So here we are. But Blackmagic has put, frankly, their cameras are phenomenal for the price point.
Yeah,
I mean, these little pocket 4K and 6K cameras they're beautiful. They're gorgeous. I mean, we send this footage to guys all over and say, hey, pick it apart. What do you think? And they're like, man, this looks really freaking good. And we're like, yeah, that's a $2,500 camera. It's not a Red. It's not an RE, but a lot of guys are buying them.
It does have a $6,000 lens on the front.
Yeah, that's also true. We have invested more in lenses than we have in cameras.
You own all your own lenses?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
We only have one nice one, though.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tokina. They have a very popular 11 to 16 mil. So Tokina, a friend of ours, Ryan Avery, works for Tokina Cinema, which is a different branch of Tokina. They do cinema lenses. So they have a set. They have their Vista Primes, which are like, I think there's 6 lenses in the set now. There's 18, 25? Yeah, 18, 25, 35, 50, 85, and 135, I think.
There's the 16 to 28, too.
Well, those are not Vistas, technically.
No, the 1628 is a Vista.
It doesn't matter. This is what we do.
The 1944 6A, boy, the f-stop.
Yeah, right. So, but basically, those lenses they retail for about $6,000 a piece.
Yeah.
But we have partnered with Tokina to help them create content, and so our deal was, we'll trade you this stupid, ridiculously long 16-minute short film for a lens. And they were like, okay.
No skin off their back, basically.
Right.
And it lasts, and it pays off for you guys down the road again and again.
Yeah. So,
and the other cool ones, Ryan, were you familiar with Vedra lenses?
No.
They were
You know,
micro
they,
four
they were
thirds.
they were like the primo micro four thirds lenses, and they just went out of business last year.
Yeah.
But we have one of the last almost full sets,
Yeah.
straight from the guy that invented them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Those would
it's
probably
a-
be worth value. I wouldn't even get rid of those because I've seen lenses that are really old that people
Oh, yeah.
swear by.
dude, vintage lenses, man. It's what's funny is I used to have this. I actually had this conversation with David Weldon several times, and it's funny because you have the highbrow, like not ASC members, but highbrow cinematographers who get paid just a lot of money to.
Yeah.
It's not just a load of money.
Yeah, I know.
It's a shitload of money.
Yeah. But they get paid all this money, and they're like, "Oh, well, I prefer these lenses because they're vintage."
Yeah.
And like the difference between that and like Rokinons or Rokinons, whatever you want to call them, the cheaper lenses is that these are old, therefore they're worth something more because their imperfections are professional. The new ones just are imperfect and they suck, and it's like they're all just imperfections. Like
Right.
y'all have put the value on these; they didn't come with that.
Well,
But-
it's. I mean, that gets into their just personal preference on look. It's not a right or wrong. It's just
And sometimes
opinion.
I totally understand having like a specific look that you're going for, and you shoot with this vintage whatever
Sure.
or Hawk Anamorphics or Cook S4s or I mean.
Well, if it looks good,
Whatever.
you're watching something on wherever you're watching it, and you like it looks good. It looks good. Now you could say
Yeah.
that was shot on a 1970s Cook S4, or it was shot on some Canon Cinema Zoom from 2 years ago. But if it looks good,
Yeah,
It looks right.
and that's kind of like that's my opinion on most of it. Like I study a lot of sound production and audio engineering, and I've been following a guy who he produces metal albums mostly. Did you ever see the show Metalocalypse?
no. I
Okay,
did. I
it was
did
a
just watch
cartoon.
a documentary called Heavy Metal Parking Lot, which was amazing.
Okay.
It's
Well,
strange.
Metalocalypse, it might have been on Adult Swim, but it's basically
Yeah.
this metal super group that I think they get so big they buy their own planet. It's ridiculous and stupid and hilarious.
That's funny.
But the guy that produced all that music, he said, people are always asking me, what's the best microphone? What's the best this? What's
Yeah.
the best that? And his answer is, it's the one that you have in your hand.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah,
they say
but
that
I
about the
feel that
camera
way.
too to like student filmmakers? Which one should I use? The one you have, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and that's exactly the same
Or
thing.
the one you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
And that's how Robert Rodriguez produced
Oh, dude,
El Mariachi.
best
Yeah.
example of just get it done ever.
Uh-huh.
El Mariachi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
go ahead and inject that chemical into my body. How much will you pay me? That'll be enough to film. All right, here, put it in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read the book?
Yeah, so I read that book,
It's a
I think right when it
fantastic-
came out, because I was just hungry. I was just like, dude, oh my God, this guy, he's got a bandana on and a vest and a Steadicam arm, and you're just like, I want to be
Yeah.
that. Whatever
Yeah.
he's doing,
You know,
Yeah, that and the DV Rebels Guide by Stu Maschwitz.
Yeah, another great one.
So Stu is
Yeah.
like one of the friends we've made at Red Giant.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the chief creative officer.
Yeah, so like it's a huge deal for me when I send a compositing job to him, and I'm like, okay,
Oh,
tell me
really?
what you think, and he's like,
Wow.
I can't tell that you did anything. I'm like, well, that's a 3D bush
When?
that I put in there, and he's like, that's amazing. So
That's
we,
cool.
we nerd out together a lot, and
And that's been one of the things in this industry. I don't know how we did it, but we managed to start at the top of companies instead of the bottom.
we trip and fall at the top.
Yeah, it's like, and Weldon has actually been a part of that. He got us connected with Matthews.
You can only mention David Weldon one more time. We can't be
Okay.
talking about that guy
Yeah, I'm sorry.
too often.
You
He'll-
actually
his
know-
ego will.
Yeah, right.
He starts getting royalties at some point.
Yeah.
Let's call him
Anyways,
DW.
there you go. But he connected us with Matthews Studios,
Yeah.
studio equipment, and now we have a deal with them that we get a percentage off of any grip gear we buy direct.
Nice.
We've gotten some stuff from them just to review for NAB.
Yeah. But met them. We know Ryan at Tokina,
Blue Shape batteries.
Blue Shape Batteries.
I heard NAB is just going to be one giant Zoom call with 60 million callers, right? With
Well,
like,
if that, like a lot of vendors,
All the
backing
vendors I
out of
know
it
are
because
ditching it straight
Yeah.
up because they spend more money just trying to get the space
yeah,
than what they actually get out of anything. Like they were telling us, a friend of ours was telling us that he was like, man, we spent like $75,000 or something like that, I think, for their booth space
just
and everything.
booth space.
That much?
And he was like, yeah, oh, dude, it's insane how much they cost.
Wow, I
and
didn't
he's
know.
like, we didn't get anything out of it. Like, we did not make a sale.
Well, he was telling us that they tracked it over 3 years, and they had the same people visit their booth every year.
right.
Yeah, no
It's
new
like,
visitors.
great. You already know about us. There's no value in you being.
So I know that last year, we went last year, right? 2019. Last year, I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Red. Somebody, one of the big names. I can't remember who. They just rented the top floor of a hotel.
Oh, they just
Like
said, "Come
the
see us
presidential
here."
suite, and did their own party, and it cost them like half of what just for one night.
And they're there at the same time NAB, so all the
Mhm.
people are there, but they don't pay
Yeah.
NAB.
Yeah, and
fees.
everybody knows that they're there.
Yeah. So it's like we're doing this party and we're doing it on our own terms. See y'all later. And most they
Smart.
got everything out of it that they wanted. And so we're kind of like,
I mean, isn't
I
that
don't-
like what everyone's thinking about doing? Because I've been there twice maybe, and you're
Yeah.
at the convention center and you're just like, "Where's the party at tonight? How do we get
Yeah.
into the cool place for free?" Which is the
Uh-huh.
desirable place to, because then it's like you're on chill mode. It's nighttime. It's all different.
And that again, we trip and fall at the top. We got into the Red and B&H party
Oh,
last
dude,
year.
huge.
Yeah.
okay,
And we got into, like, we were allowed into the Red VIP lounge.
because we knew
Wow.
all of the red shooters that were already allowed in it. And they're like, come on. Okay.
The
We're
question
Black
is,
Magic guys,
the question
but don't
is,
tell
did you
them.
guys have those beards when you were there? Were they?
No, this. I had a
No.
beard, but this has been growing since August. So almost a full
Oh,
year now.
wow.
Oh, it has been a full year.
Mine was almost that big in 2018, and we went to Phoenix to shoot an influencer event for Pennzoil, and it was 114 degrees outside, but we were on asphalt against a metal building that was painted tan, so it was probably 140 degrees.
Yeah, our
Lord.
cameras, our Movi kept failing on us.
Yeah,
it was too hot.
Run for 5
It would
minutes
just-
and
Yeah.
die.
It would overheat and die.
So after that, I
He
got
can't
rid
get-
of the beard.
Yeah.
So I actually kept my beard for our band because, like when we were supposed to play our first show back in April, that never happened. Like I had it like really, I had styled it, and
Tapered
everything.
down
It looked so
nicely.
dope.
You're like,
And
this
now
is
it's
gonna
like-
kill it with the ladies, and then all of a sudden,
You know, it's
no show.
But there were no ladies.
yeah, there were no ladies when we finally had the show.
It's just a bunch of other dudes with
but also,
beards.
yeah,
You're like, oh man, this is like
Well,
a
we
beard
get-
convention. I'm gonna see who has
That's
the best
okay.
beard.
Well, we get funneled. I get funneled, ladies in our band now because everybody else is married and it's just
Ah,
me. So-
when
still,
women show up,
there's no
everyone
ladies
just
to-
points to you and they're like, see him. He's the only one left.
We keep trying to sell them
Yeah.
at the merch booth, but
Yeah, they
no
keep
matter-
returning me and asking for more money back than they paid.
Yeah.
It's like a debt plus
reparations.
yeah, debt plus interest.
So then, I guess
yeah.
then what you're saying is that the Hamil brothers' next step would be production space if all goes well, and Lubbock
That would be
will
cool.
turn into you'll become
we'll have
bigger
to
than
call
your
our
own
favorite art guy to come out here.
Yeah,
and
it'd be
do
like
all our art stuff.
we've got a whole 10 by 10 square feet of this space just dedicated to paint. So come on down, buddy, paint your heart.
You know,
I hope you-
sometime I
I-
want to talk to you about that. Just like I've seen
What's
what you
that?
do.
Ask,
I think the
ask
last
away.
thing that I guess the last thing that I really saw you do that I remember was it you and Larry that you did that crazy like LED headdress thing, or like the dreads
Oh.
with the mask.
Yeah,
Well,
I made a for kind of no reason at all other than like I wanted to. I have it right here. I just got a mask and put some what's it called? It's just EL wire,
Okay.
electroluminescent. So it's just this thin wire that glows with a charge through it. And
That's cool.
Yeah.
and then
Dude,
I
you
asked.
gotta have shot it though, right?
Yeah, I just said, hey Larry, will you put this friggin' thing on? And run around downtown for me. And I just, because if I was going to make the video of making it, I thought it was kind of ridiculous if I finished making it and then just showed it to you sitting on a table. It's like, all right, that's super boring. Yeah. So I went and got like, some little pieces and put it together and kind of made sort of a demo of the mask, which is just him hiding around like he was doing something. And
it still looks
That's
super
all
cool
Larry
though.
does anyway, right?
Yeah. Well,
I also got. He's back in North Carolina.
Yeah, he's in North Carolina, but I don't think he's doing any kind of film anything. I texted.
I have to say though, I also got the help of Ben Richardson to shoot a little bit of that in the where I was like, it was at a table with like, it looked like a sort of like a lab kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That was actually me wearing it, which is Ben shooting me. I just wanted to get a bunch of high frame rate stuff to kind of cut in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make another video of like something cool like that though. I've got this plan. I got this Nerf thing, but
we need to get you out to Lubbock because we've got a crew that we're trying to piece together for our first music video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
For your own band?
Anything, but but it pays an exposure.
Yeah, exposure bucks.
Copy
we'll
credit.
Say nice things to you to other people on set. I heard that's what pays well for you.
Yeah, that's all you got to do is say this guy's great. That pays off in spades.
No, but really, like I
would love to. I mean, I'm not against it. It's just a matter of timing.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's how we are too.
And right now, no.
Yeah,
there's timing,
dude. I'm telling you, I can get a round trip flight to LA from Lubbock for $170 right now.
You just risk. You're just like you just have to be willing to breathe the air of 190 other people and touch all the stuff they're touching.
Is that most of them are so empty, anyways.
I've heard both. Yeah. My sister's in Wyoming and my dad's in Tucson. Uh-huh. So when my sister goes to see him, she has said either it's full and they're not doing that skip a seat, or there's nobody there. She's had full plane with everyone shoulder to shoulder, and then the next one she'll go and she's one of like 6 people on an entire jet. So it's odd.
Interesting. Well, we're in Lubbock. I don't know. People in Lubbock are not necessarily like, they're kind of like, this is whatever.
Yeah,
it's a thing. We're gonna make it.
They're over all the fear. At this point. We're just waiting on our local governments to do something dumb next.
Yeah. But it's like, I was looking at flights, and I'm actually thinking about maybe coming to LA for my birthday if things aren't just like crazy. It's like end of November.
Yeah.
But like I was looking at flights for that, $170.
That's
round
crazy.
Trip, $85 each way, and there's multiple stops, which usually that's when it goes up.
I thought that's how you save money by. Yeah, I thought you save money by taking the flight that has the what do you call it? It's the layovers or.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always had more expensive flights have been, connecting flights places. But like going to Vegas from Lubbock used to be super cheap. But I bought a flight from there. Like the round trip was like $500.
Wow.
For me.
Was this pre-COVID and like prime time or something?
No, this was like last month.
Oh wow!
I was looking at it, and I don't know why Vegas is so expensive, but then
maybe
LA
there's not enough people going there, and they're trying to recoup some fuel costs or
Yeah.
something and put it on you.
Yeah. But,
All right. Well, let's see. Hamil Brothers Studios, Texas digital film production company. We didn't create the brand commercial. We just named it. There you go.
Off the email?
Nice your Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm looking. It may be on your email too.
No, it's on Instagram. That's where it is.
Commercial narrative comedy storytellers, and we have beards. You guys want to shout out? Like, do you want people to go find you on your mugshot prison records, or do you want them to go to your Instagram?
As our grandma would say, usually the wall of the post office or a milk carton.
Yeah, because if someone can find your parents before you die off that milk carton, you guys would be happy young men.
Right.
Yeah. So you can find us on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Instagram is at Hamil Bros.
Twitter as well.
Twitter is at Hamil Bros, and then I think Facebook is Facebook /Hamil Bros.
And it's not Hamil like Mark Hamill. It's one L.
No,
Yeah.
it's just one.
It's
It's one. It's one M, one I, one L.
When I say Mark Hamill, I didn't mean to make you guys get like all, down. I'm sure that's the
people
go-to.
don't even- Actually, most people don't even say that, but we're like, yeah, no, it's not the same spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd be making more money if it was.
On the
That's true.
upside, you
We have 1,912 followers.
yeah, I've seen you guys
so-
grow a lot actually because you've constantly been on a on a graph. You guys are like always doing like better. Oh, look at the next thing you post. It's like now you guys are like you've got some other piece of gear, and now this lighting thing looks even better than it did before. And that's what I was saying earlier is that you guys are definitely whether I would think that whether you're doing video or not, you just have that characteristic, and you're the type of people that want to do a good job, and you're doing your own thing, and that's kind of what I am going towards and talking about with this podcast is just people that have like found their own way. And you guys didn't go, you didn't have some dad that was in the industry that introduced you to everyone. You figured out how to do this stuff on your own and made your own way. And that's great. And that's says a lot about your character and about you guys. And I appreciate you being on this podcast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And all of
If you ever
my,
want us back,
I don't see why not.
don't either.
I'm hungry for I'm hungry to make stuff probably just like you guys are. And I'm learning as I go with this too. I'm no audio professional, but I know that having a mixer and a not super awful mic can help me sound good. And that's with a movie, it's what do they say, half or more. But with a podcast, obviously my
like almost all
video
of it.
quality, I'm on a like little tiny camera, but it's if you can't see me super well, you have to at least be able to hear my voice and have it sound clear and travel.
Yeah.
So audio is important.
it is.
Ross knows that. Hamil Brothers.
I've got a certificate that says that.
Oh,
Actually,
did you?
Yeah, he
Oh.
does. Yeah, he's certifiable or certified.
I don't have any
Well,
pieces of paper that I'm certified in anything. I just
We
lie
can
to
send you
people.
one.
Can you graphic design me a certification in something that I can show to people?
Actually,
I don't care what it
My
is.
certificate is number 1.
Yeah,
I
yours
got the
is.
first certification out of that audio course.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I'll graphic design you one
All right.
that says certified awesome.
Sweet. I'll
since
just tell people I'm awesome.
1978.
Hey.
Not
Hamil-
well,
Hamil-
I can put from.
You know what? With the podcast, it's just I've just been saying the 1978 because
Okay.
in that it sounds too long. So the from was more or less something I had to add because you couldn't register a.
You can't trademark just 1978.
Well, it was because there's there's people that buy up URLs.
Oh yeah, we
So-
we totally. I think I watched that on one of your podcasts.
What's
Like,
that?
isn't it the guy that has isn't it 1978?
No,
guy?
I think I mentioned
he had a
my
boat.
name. It was somebody that had
Oh, yes,
alexpotter.com.
yeah.
And it's some jerk in the
Just
East
to
Coast.
sell a boat.
It's some jerk on the East Coast. All it is his for sale and his little like dinky, awful looking boat. And it's just that's what it's been for years.
That's awesome.
And I was like, dude, give me a goddamn website already. But I couldn't get it. I emailed, no one responded.
Yeah.
Hamil Brothers is 1L. Check them out if you're ever in Lubbock and you need some video or sound or VFX or anything. Check them out. Go to their website. Appreciate having you guys on.
Yeah, man, you too.
Man. Appreciate it.
I will see you guys soon. Peace.
Yeah, sounds good, man. We'll see you later.
Right on. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.